I'm turning on. I think they can hear us anyway, even when it's not on.
That's true.
Always eavesdropping. I know. I mean, I don't care that they hear us, but it's just like, it seems like it's like 10 minutes before.
No.
Like planning commission needs to be reminded of that a lot, that like,
They can't talk. Oh, we should tell them.
we should have.
Call the Broken Arrow City Council meeting to order. We have invocation. Is Pastor Burnett here? Michael? Thank you for stepping in.
Let's pray. Lord, we're very thankful, Lord, that we get the opportunity to conduct city business here tonight, Lord Father. We pray, Lord, that we would ask your Spirit just to lead and guide us into all truth. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Franco, here. Ford.
Here.
Parks. Here. Gillespie.
Here.
Wimpy.
Here. Please stand and join Councilor Parks for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Salute, pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Like the Eagles holding out the.
Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
The motion and a second. Roll call. All right. Item 7 is public hearings, appeals, presentations, recognitions, and awards. Item 7A is recognition and presentation of certificates to youth city council seniors. Michael Surgeon.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Good evening. On this next two items, Michael Godfrey and I are going to handle them on behalf of the Youth City Council. And the first item is the recognition and presentation of certificates. I think it's important to at this point, every year, we just step back and talk just for a little bit, a minute or two about the program because there's so many, not only the youth, but we have a lot of people in our community that are interested in the fact that we have something like this and how extensive it is. And so I'm going to just have a few highlights and comments, and then I'm going to turn it over to Michael to introduce the seniors and then have their certificates presented. So the purpose of the Youth City Council, YCC, is to introduce its members to municipal government and increase their interest in the knowledge of civic engagement. Our program runs from September to May, which is 9 months. In 2022-2023 school year, there were 19 students. We had 8 seniors, 5 juniors, and then we had 6 sophomores. So here are some of the highlights, and I know Michael's going to talk about those, but if you think about it, these are the individuals that we're really trying to help them understand about civic engagement and or look at the possibility of a career in municipal government, whether it's elected or it's actually an appointed position because there are so many opportunities. The students actually, the council, they spend time with the city departments, they tour operations, the water plant, the municipal jail, court is where they went this year. Also, they do the user group tours, the Military History Center, the Art Center, the Museum Broken Arrow are 3 of the areas that they went. They met with city department directors and community leaders to learn about city programs and how local government works. The seniors went to the National League of Cities, which the council members were there, a conference in Washington, D.C., which was this past March. During the trip, the YCC met with other YCC members from other cities around the country. They also had an opportunity to meet with Senator Mark Wayne Mullen. They toured the D.C. landmarks and attended a number of conferences. So at this time, I'd like to ask Michael if he would introduce the seniors that are being recognized this evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, City Manager. I'd like to introduce the YCC Mayor, Keaton Spurlock. We have our Vice Mayor, Abigail Hardwick. We also have Councilor Katie Andrews, Chase Fogel, Tony Lee, and Madeline Hardwick.
at this time, the seniors will come forward and ask the council members to come and let's take a picture with the group. We've got parents here, we'll get set. Take pictures. All right. Let's see, get up here with Joe. Okay.
Big group here. All right. Stand by on 3. 1, 2, 3. All right.
All right. I'll use students stay here.
Still get back.
Chance, is there a chance? Kate, Abigail. You all know Mr. Parks, right? Abigail. Madeline, there you go. Riley, okay, she's the city manager.
Yeah.
Tony. Keegan Spurgeon, here we go. All right. Okay, Johnny, you want to say a few words?
Well, I'd just like to say, this has been a great group this year, and we had a fantastic trip to Washington DC. They're just so grown up, we felt kind of bad, kind of watching to see what they were doing, because they were doing things better than what they were doing. But anyway, they did a great job, and one of our best youth city council that we've had. Congratulations to you guys. Appreciate all your hard work. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Let's give them another round of applause.
All right, 7B is presentation, discussion, and possible acceptance of the 2022-2023 Broken Arrow Youth City Council's Big Idea.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of council, once again, as a part of the Youth City Council experience each school year, students are asked to research and select an idea to present to the city council that would benefit the city of Broken Arrow. This year, the group, the Big Idea, focused on Youth City Council program itself and how it could be updated, enhanced to better benefit the students or the youth that are involved, that are going to hopefully someday could be either sitting up here or in an administrative position or just more engaging with their with the city itself. So this time, I'd like to introduce the Youth Council Mayor to come forward and actually make that presentation.
Sorry. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this. So over Youth City Council's tenure, my tenure, I should say, I've seen a lot of people, a lot of advancement, but I have seen some room for a little bit of change that I think would be beneficial. So if we'll just move to the next slide. So of course we have the agenda. We'll have our introduction, talk a little bit about Washington, D.C., the new big idea, our goal, and a closing statement. Next slide. Okay, as mentioned before, I'm Keegan Spurlock. I'm Mayor of Broken Arrow Youth City Council. This is Abigail Hardwick, my Vice Mayor. This is Councilor Madeline Hardwick. Of course, there are some lovely faces of the body and what make YCC so great. Go ahead, next slide. Okay, Washington, D.C.
I'm here to talk about Washington, D.C. and our trip. So you can go to the next slide, please. We mainly just wanted to say that D.C. is really important for us because of the learning opportunities it provides, the networking, especially with other cities at the NLC conference, and especially other youth city councils that really gave us a lot of ideas. The experience of, doing the workshops and kind of getting a sense of how national city management is, and just many examples of cities composed, except for this one. Then youth engagement, it's it really does, what's the word, engage, I guess, but there's so much engagement for us there, and there's so many things for us to do. So yeah, next slide.
Speaking of networking, the importance of it. I spoke to one of the members of the North American head of the United Nations Global Transit Coalition, and I got invited to be a part of it. So it just shows the expanse that networking can have.
Yeah. There's so many people there, and it really just provided so many opportunities to us that we didn't know existed before. So next slide. This is some pictures of us. We went to say a big thank you to Councilman Johnny Parks for giving us a tour of Arlington, which he worked at for a couple years. It was really great. And we'd heard so much about it, but it was so wonderful. We toured a lot of landmarks like the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial, and we went to Old Europe as well. Thank you to Myrna and Johnny Parks. They paid for our meal. It was great. And we obviously attended the conference, and it was great. So those are some highlights from Washington. Next slide, please. Next slide, please.
Okay, so
So for the actual big idea change, we just want to redefine what our big idea should be. In the current bylaws of joining new city councils, there's really no written requirements for participation otherwise than a monthly meeting. Again, requirements are vague, and the big idea itself does take time because we're not able to tour as much as we'd like. We're not able to talk and experience and learn from the council as much as we'd like because we're talking about a big idea. There's just been a general lack of participation this year from, the grades involved, and so it's been very difficult to get a big idea passed. And for the past couple of years, even if we have passed, it's always been a bit of a struggle, especially in my tenure.
So we'll move on to new additions. As she mentioned, the engagement that we had in Washington with you guys was probably the best experience I've had in my whole time being here. I got to learn you all as a personality and who the people are sitting here in front of me. I learned so much. I saw your stances. I learned what's important to you, and it means something that I can take home and know that the people representing me are people I know are good people. And so that's kind of why we were wanting a little bit more engagement from the city council. I know you'll have very busy lives, busy jobs.
Yeah, but
To have more engagement for y'all would be really tremendous, because that was the best part of Washington, was just getting to interact with you all. And then we have 10 hours of community service per year. We think that a little lacking in YCC. We do tour, we do hear other people, but we don't see ourselves engaging with the community as much as we would like. And we think 10 hours is very doable.
yeah, it would write in the bylaws actual participation point. We also have mandatory job shadowing, so that's something that we've been able to do. But of course, making at least a mandatory job shadowing in the bylaws would be really important. Minimum of half a day during membership. You can of course always do more though. 2 monthly meetings instead of 1, mainly just so we can, participate more, have more tours, be more involved in city government, and of course learn from you guys. Would love for members to attend 1 or more city council meetings throughout their tenure so that they can, experience what a city council is actually like when it's working. And then, of course, state capitol tour for the sophomores, which is learning government at the state level, the regional NLC summit for the juniors, which is, of course, learning government at a regional level and starting to get more into that federal kind of area. And then, of course, still keep DC for seniors for that federal level. In-person interviews, because right now, or for prospective members, right now it's very just fill out this application. And so in-person interviews would be good experience overall, and really show who wants to be a part of the group. Council shadowing during meetings would be really important if that's something the council would like, just so, we could sit with you, we could see what you do and understand the council even better, like Keegan said. And of course, a reception at the first meeting with the counselors to really understand and get ready for the year ahead.
Just kind of a networking event, I would say.
Yeah.
Any questions on that?
It all looks great so far.
Okay. Next slide, please. So these are just kind of our 3 goals that we're wanting to get from this, if you do adopt these changes. So our main goal at YCC has always been engagement. That's a no. That's our ground zero, is engagement and interaction with our community. But most of all, we're all here to equip the young people to either sit in these seats, as the city manager said, or an elected official. So I think it's important that we know these changes can be made, and I think this will lead to more engagement and equip them better. But it will take time. I know that. It's not going to be instantaneous, but I think this is a good step in the right direction to really outfit everyone for what's coming up. Next slide. Okay, this is our little special things. We want to thank Mike and Johnny and Marta Parks. They have been absolutely amazing. Like she said, the tour of Arlington brought me to tears
Best part.
times. It was crazy to learn about just all of it in general. And Mike has been like kind of the dad of the group.
Yeah.
He's kept us in line. We knew what we needed to be doing, and he's just been there for us. He's been a great representation of the city.
And a steady presence in the lives of YCC.
Exactly. And I think y'all should be very proud as having him as a city employee. Next slide, please. Okay, so with these recommendations, we believe that the youth city council can flourish with a new big idea that will benefit both the youth and the community. The proposal aims to increase the council's participation and create a stronger bond and improve upon the problems with the current setup.
Thank you.
Any questions, comments, concerns?
So implementation.
Yes.
So since you guys are seniors and you're going away, will you guys help?
I don't plan on going anywhere. My phone's always open. I know it's kind of hard for us to stand up here and say, this is what we want to see as we're leaving. I get that. But I think the people behind me have such a strong drive. I think they'll all benefit from structure. I think we always can. That's why I have structures in this meeting. When you have structure, you know what's expected of you and you know what you're going into every day. That's why we want extra meetings. So if we want to focus on a big idea, when we're prepared for that as a council, we have that meeting to do so.
And I know that some of the seniors definitely are, again, like you said, their phones are always open. I'm going to be working with Johnny Parks for a composting kind of ordeal during the summer. So definitely we will be there to help lead that transition.
Awesome.
I love everything that y'all said. The engagement part, I know through my years with council so far, I haven't gotten to engage with the city council except at DC really in this meeting. So I think the thought of you coming and shadowing us at meetings and learning more about the process, because regardless of what you do going forward, it's just going to make you better citizens and more informed about, how you can, advocate for yourself and your community.
100%.
Love it.
Definitely.
I like the idea about the reception, like right off the bat.
Mhm.
And then,
Me
because
too.
I'm like you, I loved being with you all in DC. You're so smart. All of you are so
Thank you.
smart.
Oh, sure.
And so mature, and you've just been a great class. And so I like everything about your big idea as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We appreciate
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Before, I want to tell all of y'all, we talk really good behind your backs.
Good.
That's
Our ears
great to know.
are burning. Our ears are
Yes.
burning.
Yes. Seriously, all of us have talked about just what good human beings you are. And
Thank
we're,
you.
it makes me really proud because, I think sometimes kids get knocked down a little. And I know you aren't kids, but you are to us. So, but your generation sometimes gets knocked around a little bit. And it made me really proud to be around you, see how articulate you are, how engaged you were in the whole process, and how much you appreciated DC.
Yeah.
I can't say enough grace about that. I think, one, this program has given me such a platform to be an advocate for what I think is important. And I learned what was important to y'all through DC. And it was just nice to feel, not that I wasn't expected of anything, but I could just be there to advocate for what I thought was right and interact with my community, even if I wasn't inside BA. And it made me more thankful of the city that I live in, because I think coming from the outside in, I didn't really know what Broken Arrow did. And to see what they did throughout my 3 years here has been amazing. I can't say enough things about it.
Yeah.
And I would think
truly.
you guys, like, being able to talk to other youth city council in other cities and other states. I know even when we go to DC and we talk to other cities and we're like, oh, we don't do that. in our
That's what was
city, or,
crazy to
and
yeah.
be able to offer like, this is what we do, or, it makes us proud to be from Broken Arrow
Exactly.
as
I'm
well.
like, I
Definitely.
don't have those struggles, and it makes me thankful to go back to a city that I have strong leaders who are
Yeah,
taking change. So it's wonderful.
you guys have been great.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to make one comment too, in that, you've had enough accolades. You've been great. I've been to Washington DC with a lot of different youth groups, and you didn't have to have the 2-hour lecture to you and your parents when we got back. You did great. Mike did a great job. You know what I mean? He was like a mother hen, but I know he's not a mother. But everybody knew where they was going and whatever. But I will have to say also that Michaela Barton did a great job of coordinating everything this year, getting everything in line. And I certainly think that she needs accolades also. I know that since she is gone now, but even if she's here, I would say that. But she did a great job of coordinating everything and getting our activities ready in Washington, D.C. So anyway, you did a great job. Mike, thanks a lot. You made my trip fun too. 'Cause I could relax because I knew you were right there with them all the time.
All right. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Guys, gals.
So, do we We need a motion to accept their big idea. Is that what it is?
I think
I will make the motion to accept their big idea.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Do you want to speak?
After you vote,
Okay.
Mayor.
Roll call. It passes.
So obviously, the council needs to designate one of its own, in addition to Mr. Parks, to serve on this. And what I would suggest is we probably do that the next meeting or two. And then I'll meet with those two individuals to look over the recommendations and involve the youth city council members. And we can incorporate those into the work plan for next year.
Sounds good.
Good. Thank you.
All right, item 7C, approval of and authorization to execute a proclamation declaring the week of May 19th through the 25th, 2023 as National Public Works Week. Rocky Hinkle.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of council. Rocky Hinkle, Director of Streets and Stormwater. Before you tonight is a proclamation recognizing National Public Works Week as May 19th through the 25th. The American Public Works Association, also known as APWA, along with its 30,000 members, will celebrate the week of May 19th through the 25th as National Public Works Week. This week, celebrated annually, honors the thousands of men and women who are first responders and who provide services to communities to enhance the quality of life. This year's theme is Connecting the World Through Public Works. Public works is a thread that connects us all no matter where we live in the world. Every public works professional strives to improve the quality of life for the community they serve, leading to healthier, happier communities. The Connecting the World Through Public Works theme highlights the ability of these public works professionals to connect us physically, through infrastructure, and inspirationally through service to their communities, whether as first responders or daily workers carrying out their duties with pride. This theme challenges APWA members and the citizens to think about the role public works plays in creating a great place to live. By working together, the impact citizens and public works professionals can have on their communities is magnified and results in the ability to accomplish goals once thought unattainable. With that, I'll turn it over to you, Mayor.
All right, well, I'll read the proclamation and then we can approve and authorize. Let's see. Whereas public works services provided in the city of Broken Arrow are an integral part of the citizens' everyday lives, and whereas the support of an understanding and informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operation of public works systems and programs such as water, sewer, streets, and highways, public buildings, snow removal, and park maintenance. And whereas the health, safety, comfort, and quality of life of Broken Arrow citizens greatly depends on these facilities and services. And whereas the quality and effectiveness of these facilities, as well as their planning, design, and construction, are dependent upon the efforts and skill of public works officials. And whereas the efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff the Public Works Department is influenced by the understanding of the importance of their work. Now, therefore, I, Deborah Wimpy, Mayor of the City of Broken Arrow, do hereby proclaim the week of May 19th through 25th, 2023 as National Public Works Week with the theme Connecting the World Through Public Works, and call upon the citizens and civic organizations to recognize the contributions the public works staff and officials make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor, can I
I'd
ask
make a
Rocky a
motion to
question?
approve that.
Can I ask Rocky a question? Rocky, what's the possibility like for next year's program if we could actually do something where we could put together some type of small event where we could get all of our equipment and our trucks somewhere in a very large city lot, and then we could maybe bring some of the kids out and let them see the trucks and so forth?
So that's a great idea. We tried this a few years ago, but COVID had hit. It was in the plan. We were going to do a touch of truck event, like you mentioned. We were going to offer hot dogs and water. But the challenge is we wanted to correspond it with the theme or with the National Public Works Week, but there's a little other event called Camp Bandage that kind of gets in the way of that. So, but it's something that we're looking at planning. We just have to find another weekend.
Okay.
Well, maybe it's something you can partner with Camp Bandage and you can do your touch a truck and you can bring in, there's already kids there, like we've
Yep.
already got the crowd and it's on city property. And I'm sure Kurt Klein would be totally open to that.
That is an opportunity we can look at. Absolutely.
See, I know that we just got interrupted, and I know it's something you've had your vision in wanting to do.
Yeah, it has been. I've done it in other municipalities, and it's really a great event.
Yeah, I think partnering with Camp Bandage would be great because the community's already coming out and
Absolutely.
You guys do amazing work, so thank you.
Appreciate it very
Yes,
much.
thank
So,
you. All
Thank
you
you.
do.
Thank you.
The motion?
I made a motion to approve the proclamation.
Oh, thank you. Oh, and we have a second.
Roll
We have a
call.
second. Sorry. There were things happening without me. All right, proclamation approved. Item 7D, presentation of an annual report by representatives of Cox Communication, a cable service provider with a non-exclusive franchise with the city of Broken Arrow. Norm Stevens.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council, Mr. Spurgeon. Section 18 of ordinance number 2468 comprises the non-exclusive franchise between Cox Communication and the city of Broken Arrow, provides for monitoring of the services provided by Cox. It states that on or before the first city council meeting in May of each year, a representative of Cox shall appear before the city council and present an annual report concerning the services provided and operation of the cable system. Tonight, we have Angela Belleville here to make the presentation.
Good evening. At Cox Communications, we value our relationship with the city of Broken Arrow, so we really appreciate your time tonight. I'll be discussing a quick overview of our company, our latest investments in our network, and what we're doing in our communities. Next slide, please. So one thing that most people don't realize is that Cox Communications is actually underneath the umbrella of Cox Enterprises. Next slide, please.
You're done. Thank you so much for coming.
That was really quick.
Just trying to keep things moving.
Okay. So Cox Enterprises is our parent company, and it is still family-owned and privately held. It all began in 1898 when James N. Cox had purchased the Dayton Evening News. Fast forward to today, we are a communications, media, and automotive services company with a revenue of nearly $15 billion and over 50,000 employees. Even throughout the years, what's been very important to us is our focus on connectivity and our dedication to the communities that we serve. Next slide. So at Cox Communications, many people think of us as the cable company, but in fact, we are the leading provider of TV, internet, phone, home security, and automation here in Broken Arrow and statewide. It's important for us to remember that we are actually across the United States. We are in over 6 million households. And from a Cox business perspective on our commercial side, we support over 380,000 businesses. Our Cox Media arm is our targeted ad solutions. There we focus on our traditional and digital platforms to support our clients that have specific targeting needs. Overall, at Cox Communications, we have 20,000 employees in total. Next slide. But a lot of people also don't know that our sister companies under our Cox Enterprises umbrella involve a lot of many different business ventures and investments. Most importantly, that you may be familiar with, Kelley Blue Book, Auto Trader, and Manheim, which is actually the largest auto auction company in the world. Some of our latest investments, Tripolo is part of our Cox Business Solutions. It's our home health care company that focuses on bringing the healthcare professional into the homes of patients using our digital technology. Rivian is our electric pickup company. We also just recently, if you see Spears New Technologies there, we acquired them from Moore, Oklahoma. They're a full service provider of repair, remanufacturing, refurbishing, and repurposing advanced batteries that are part of hybrid and electric vehicles. I share all of these things and more to show the emphasis of the support and resources that we bring to the table as a partner. Next slide, please. So let's dive in a little bit more into our network. Next slide. Our nationwide network spans across 18 states. You can see us there in the middle, somewhere on that little blue dot. But it's important to remember that we have over 200,000 miles worth of fiber-rich network. We have 24/7 monitoring as we continue to invest in our communities. Next slide. Here's a snapshot of our network investment and resiliency. Today, our residential customers receive up to 1 gig of speed thanks to our upgrade to the entire network, not just in certain areas. We're continuing to push deeper with our fiber, and particularly in Broken Arrow, to the tune of $6 million in upgrades. We're working it now so that we can prepare for a 10 gigabyte delivery across all of our residential customers. Next slide, please. One thing we're very proud of is that based on an independent speed test, Cox is certified to have the fastest internet download speeds in Broken Arrow, as well as in the state of Oklahoma. This is a third party. This was not influenced by anything that we did, but it shows how successful all of our upgrades and our investments have been. Next slide, please. So most importantly, in addition to our investment to our network, I'd like to cover about how we are investing in our communities. In connectivity, we want to make sure that our connection to the internet is accessible to everyone. Next slide. Our program, Cox Connect to Compete, actually started about 10 years ago. We were one of 2 companies to realize that we need to help bridge that digital divide. And what we were offering through this program are discounted resources for internet for families that have students K through 12th age. What's really great, at $9.95 a month, there's no activation fee, no contracts, free installation, free in-home Wi-Fi, and free access to hotspots. Next slide, please. But we realize it really shouldn't stop there with our students. But there are low-income households that do not have K through 12 students. And through that, we have our Connect Assist internet package that also offers discounted services. And additionally, we are part of the Affordable Connectivity Program, which is funded by the federal government. This provides a $75 subsidy towards internet packages. So through these programs, we're ensuring that no one goes without connectivity due to being unable to afford it. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, through Connect to Compete, I love this statistic that we've connected more than 8,500 families across the region who normally would not have been able to afford internet. But beyond that, we're very focused on our community here in Oklahoma and here in the city of Broken Arrow. Cox donates cash and in-kind donations to nonprofit partners across the Tulsa area. We are a proud partner of the Broken Arrow Performing Arts Center. We've been a major supporter of the Broken Arrow Chamber and Economic Development Corporation for more than a decade. We're also very proud supporters of the Leadership Broken Arrow. We've had 6 employees so far be graduates from that class. Cox Charities, which is fully funded by our employees, has been proud to donate more than $90,000 in grants back into Broken Arrow Public Schools over the last 5 years. Next slide, please. So we will continue to invest in our network, invest in our communities, but we want to especially make sure you know we're investing in the city of Broken Arrow to continue to build a better future. What questions do you have?
Any questions?
Great presentation. Tell Roger and Tiffany that we said hello.
Absolutely.
It's great to see you, though, here tonight. I think I speak on behalf of the council is obviously you are a great partner to the community, and you're very responsive to the council. And I just want to reiterate that we do hear from citizens, as you know, that sometimes have challenges with their service, and that one of the things that we've repeatedly said to the officials in the company is being responsive to those concerns. And so far, I believe you have. I mean, obviously, everyone has an individual problem that may be something that we can't do, but we just want to make sure we reiterate the importance of providing great customer service and continue to provide a reliable network.
Absolutely, yes, sir. And we are committed to being responsive. If you feel that there's a lack of otherwise, you can get with the government affairs team. Tiffany or Roger, happy to assist. It's also be really beneficial if you could help us spread the word that unfortunately outages are not caused by Cox. They're caused by our gophers and our squirrels. It is springtime. People are doing a lot of landscaping right now before they call and see where those lines are down. So please let us know how we can help serve anyone in your community that's having issues.
No, I can just tell you, I know we're very happy with the partnership, and you've been very responsive, and I wanted to say that, but on behalf of our citizens, we just would like to see that to continue. You have made a major investment, and our city's growing, and I believe that you're going to continue to make that investment. So we're appreciative of that, but making sure we maintain that strong relationship with the customers and take care of them, because obviously if there's concerns, those 5 folks and myself will hear about it. It's kind of rare when I do, but I know the council members do. So thank you for all that you do to make sure you take care of those problems whenever they're brought to your attention.
Absolutely, our pleasure. Thank you, sir.
You need to also add to your list, and I'm a plumber, so I'm not trying to embarrass them. But with the squirrels and everything, add plumbers, because 2 weeks ago, we lost our Cox and all of our electric. Electric for a day and Cox for 3 days because the plumber had cut all the lines in two. But your service people were excellent. They were there just within a few minutes, told us exactly what happened. It's 2 blocks away. So, that made up for it, but add plumbers to your list.
Fantastic. I appreciate your feedback.
Squirrels and plumbers. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you.
There's no action to be taken. All right, item 7E, annual programming update from the Broken Arrow Historical Society. Broken Arrow, Museum Broken Arrow. Teresa Tucker. Come on down.
Good evening. I have a nice little prepared speech. Thank you so much. My name's Teresa Tucker, and I am the new director of the Museum Broken Arrow. So I started in January. And so I just want to give you first of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity to share what's happening at the museum. So here's what's coming up. So we have the Pioneer Dinner. Of course, Rooster Day is right around the corner. So the Pioneer Dinner is May 20th at the Broken Arrow High School cafeteria. We have a pie auction, and everyone's invited. It is not exclusive due to how long you've lived here or how old you are. Everyone's welcome. So all you have to do is buy a ticket, though.
Is it still
So
chicken? Do we get chicken?
this year, I think we're having chicken and dressing.
Okay, all right.
So look forward to that. And of course, the pie auction. So at least come and buy a pie.
Sure.
And then June 3rd, I'm doing a bicycle tour. So ride through history is what I'm calling it. So it will be just around the downtown area. You'll learn about the history of Broken Arrow. And then in August 20th, I'm doing a book club. So it's called Broken Arrow Reads History. And our first book, and actually this is I'm doing this in honor of my mother, the memory of my mother. She passed away in November. So, and she was a librarian in Broken Arrow for over 20 years. So she instilled in me a love of reading. So I wanted to honor her with this book club. And our first book, in case you're interested, is The Dust Bowl Girls by Lydia Reeder. So we'll be reading the book. You buy the book on your own. You read it. We come together. We have refreshments. Our motto, I'm a big C.S. Lewis fan, so our motto is you can never get a cup of tea large enough or a book long enough to suit me. So we'll be having refreshments and discussing the book. So join us if you can. And then September is a busy month. So we have the OMA conference, which is the Oklahoma Museums Association. And it will be September 13th through the 15th at Stony Creek Hotel and Conference Center. There are several places involved. So the Museum Broken Arrow, also the Military History Center, and Arts at 302. So there'll be something at each one of those locations. Then we have our Night for the Museum Gala, September 22nd at Stony Creek Hotel and Conference Center. So buy your ticket for that. And then in October, I'm doing a history walk. So it's called Of Scarlet, Purple, Red, and Gold, an Autumn History Walk. And that's borrowed from the poem October by Paul Lawrence Dunbar. So look it up. It's a beautiful poem. I'm hoping that the weather will cooperate and that will be colorful and it'll be a little chilly so that we can have cider and all kinds of good stuff. So stay tuned for that. And then our Barbara Brown Kimbrough exhibit hall is booked through December with exhibits. We have artists from painting. We have a photographer, which will be in June and July. August and September, we have the Tulsa Artists Guild. And then October, we have another painter. And then November and the first week of December will be our band Christmas tree exhibit. So, and then 2 weeks before Christmas, we'll have the wood carvers. So stay tuned for that. So that's through December. And then we were awarded an Oklahoma Arts Council grant for a cultural arts district development. And this also includes other organizations along Main Street. So we currently have a committee, so we'll be going through over some things of what we want to do. We do have to come up with a matching fund of $5,000. So we're working on that. The committee's making plans, and we've been talking. So the Chamber of Commerce donated the retiring Roscoe costume to the museum. So it will become a part of the Rooster Day exhibit on the second floor. So come by, we're going to put him in there somewhere. So
David Pickles is still in there, right?
he's not in there,
Okay.
but we're gonna fix it up so
Well, I
that it
saw
looks
that
like he
video.
is.
So are they like just getting a new costume?
They've gotten a new costume.
Okay. Well, I'm glad they gave you the old one.
Yeah,
That's
we are
cool.
too. So it'll be a nice addition to the exhibit. We'll be able to fit it in there. So, and it'll look good. So it'll look like he's in there, but he won't be.
He won't. Okay. That's good. Good to know.
So, but we were happy to get that. And then Talitha Jacobs will be conducting art summer camps this summer. So a little sneak peek into 2024. I'm hoping to do a history symposium about Broken Arrow history, and then possible continuation of the book club. And I want to do in the summer history camps for youth, and include. Now I'm going to include some of these, but it's not limited to. So architecture, Muskogee Creek Nation, 1940s wartime homefront experience, map making, and Broken Arrow's original township. So those are just some ideas we're throwing around. We're going to look at other things and maybe add to it. But I want to do something for youth because I know there's some kids out there that love history. So we're going to enhance that a little bit. So, and then I'm hoping to do a book club for kids and maybe a little story time for younger kids because that's my thing. Education. I've been an educator for a long time, so I'm hoping to continue that. So, and that's it. Any questions?
So I'd say if anybody hasn't seen Talitha Jacobs' work, it really is good
yes.
stuff.
Yes.
So that's exciting to see.
And enroll your kids in her summer camp.
Yeah.
She does a really good job. So.
One question I have, do you know the average, I don't know, monthly or annual attendance into the museum?
Into the museum? We kind of fluctuate. I've noticed. I did a little graph, which I wish I had brought it, but I did do a graph because that's me. And we kind of fluctuate according to the months, the seasons. So when things are beautiful outside, people are out and about, up and down Main Street, they usually come into the museum. We seem to be busy. Right now we're busy. The Rooster Egg is out there somewhere. So we've had people, because we are a sponsor, we've had people come in looking for the egg. So that's a good thing. But we usually kind of fall off January, February. We kind of pick up again in March, and then we kind of come back down, and then we come way up in the summer months. And then for winter, we kind of slow down again. So it just kind of goes.
Do you kind of know what an average might be, just off the top of your head?
I think that, well, recently, probably in the last couple of months, we've had 300 or 400 people. The last time I did a report for the board, but prior to that, I would have to look.
Okay, that's fine.
That's what I was going to ask you.
So-
Can you, like in 2022, what?
I have that
total
information.
attendance.
I just don't have it with me,
Okay.
but I do have it. So
Okay.
I'd be more than happy to give it to
I
you.
appreciate it.
But, yeah.
But Is the attendance typically, are they groups or is it like individuals coming in?
We have
or is it-
families that come in. We have.
Do the schools come in?
We do
Groups?
tours.
Okay.
So, and I am working to kind of and so they usually come at the end of the school year. So
So like right now.
every
in
testing's
December.
over. So testing's pretty much over now. So we should start getting some phone calls to book those. So we usually do 3rd, 4th, 5th graders, and then so they'll usually start calling, and we may have 1 or 2 a week.
Yeah.
So I will say, unfortunately, and we'll work on this. if given a choice between the zoo and the museum, they can only go to one. Sometimes they can only, depending on the
Right.
school, they can only go to one field trip. So they're probably going to pick the zoo, and that's just reality. And so I'm hoping that I can get out there and talk to. That's one of my plans for next school year.
Let them know.
To get out there and
Rooster
talk,
now, so.
exactly, and talk to the schools. And I'm hoping to get I'm also a committee person, so I'm probably going to get a committee together of teachers, my old buddies back at Broken Arrow Public Schools, and see if we can't have a committee to kind of talk about how we, what are they looking for, and what would they like to see in a tour. We will be having to add docents. That's another thing I'm going to work on, because we've had a few people pass away and we've had some people move. So we need to kind of beef up our docent, but we'll be working on that. So I have a lot of work to do. But,
Well, and Summit's right there in the Rose District. Like, they could walk. The kids from Summit, they're just right,
right,
there. in
and
the
also
Rose
Oak
District.
Crest, or I always want to talk Northeast, but it's roads.
Yeah.
Roads they can walk, and they've done it before.
And what does
So-
it cost to come into the museum?
They just have to pay for their bus. It's free. We do not charge for them to come do a tour, so they just have to pay for their own transportation.
Well, just for a citizen, if I want to
Oh,
come
for
in.
just $5.
$5.
Unless you're a member. If you're a member, then you get in free. Kids under 18 are free.
Talk about the membership that you can buy that gets you.
Oh, the NARM membership.
Yes.
So, which I've used if you ever go out of state. There are, if you buy a membership to the museum, then that you can go to another new museum that's also a NARM museum and get in free. So I used it the last time I went to Santa Fe,
Right.
because I was able to get in and get another person in free. So,
I know I've never bought it. My parents, they get it every year because they go like all over the place to different museums.
yeah,
And
it's good if you're a
It's great
traveler.
value.
If you're a traveler and you like to go to museums, it's a really good deal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you just come in and get a membership. It's usually $100 membership, so you'll to cover that. So, but that's for two people.
Right.
So I always buy one and then give it to like one of my sisters or somebody. So,
And then you guys have an amazing gift store in there with Broken Arrow items.
we do have a gift shop that if you're looking for things that say Broken Arrow, we have them. Whether it's an ornament, or we also have the Marmy book on sale. I just did a tour for some kids that are a special education class, and we did I read them the story, the Marmy book, and then we walked up and down Main Street and looked for the mice. And some of them loved it, some of them didn't, but I loved it. So
Yeah. I think it's one of
It
those
was fun.
things that people, there's so many people who don't even realize what it is or why there's a little mouse on a wall.
right,
on
and people
the-
I think
the
question that,
planners and
yeah.
stuff, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's good to get that out
Yeah.
more. I think there's a reason. That's
Yes.
a little Marmy.
Yes.
So,
Yes, so. All right. Any other questions?
all right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, item 7F, presentation of special traffic control configuration with Cherokee Pride Construction for construction of ST 1413, 37th Street pavement reconstruction from Houston Street to Kenosha. Tim Robbins.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, and Mr. Spurgeon. Tim Robbins, Construction Division Manager here for the city. And before you is we come tonight to talk about a special traffic control that we're going to be implementing on the 37th Street project. So this project is between Kenosha and Houston on 37th Street, and we are upgrading that roadway from the 2-lane roadway with storm sewer problems and the sight distance issues to a new 3-lane roadway with improved drainage and improved water lines throughout, and a lot of the curb and gutters and everything on that section. So to do that, what the timing has worked out well for this phased approach that we've worked diligently with the contractor on. So the first phase is proposed to start on Thursday of this week, and this is going to be implementing a roadway closure. And to do this project, we have a lot of large storm sewer boxes on the south end and a lot of mass grading work at that hill section right next to the community there in the middle section north of the Ridge Church. So to do some of this, we've been thinking through safety of not only the contractors, the residents who live within this section, as well as the residents driving through the section. And this is one of the approaches that we think we can get this project done faster. We can get it done safer for all the parties involved if we close down this roadway. So to do this, the first closure would start just south of the church in that first phase, and we'll be starting the bulk of the large storm sewer installations in this section. The traffic will be allowed from the north at all times for the church section, as well as that residential complex in the midsection. The residents to the south, they will be allowed full access to the north while we're installing the southern boxes, and then back to the south as soon as we get those opened back up. During the summer months, we will keep the roadway closed all the way into phase 2. Into phase 2, we'll be constructing a temporary roadway onto the east side of the existing so we can do a lot of the large mass earthwork and rebuild that roadway as well. The goal is to have the roadway back open to through traffic by the start of school. And hopefully by that point, the game plan is to have the bulk of the roadway actually completely built with asphalt and the curb and gutters in place all the way up to phase 3. Where phase 3, we will be constructing that portion under live traffic, releasing back to allow for school buses to have full through traffic there during the school year. And we are hoping to have the project done by the end of this year. So that is scheduled to start on Thursday. We have done walk through door to door handouts with flyers and talk with residents through there this last week. Through that both neighborhoods, as well as we met with the church to kind of walk through and talk through how this was going to impact them, any of their concerns, and honestly, overall, everybody that we talked to was very thankful for the one-on-one conversations, as well as the concept of shutting it down for their safety as well. So it was very well taken in. So. If you have any questions.
I just love that you contacted everyone before this happened. I think so many times you can take care of so many issues, and
Absolutely.
And like you said, they're pretty excited that it's going to happen. So I appreciate you going. I mean, that's above and beyond for sure. And I'm sure the residents didn't expect someone from the city of Broken Arrow knocking on their doors.
Yeah, it saves us lots of calls and emails.
Yeah, so that's, I appreciate
They were
that.
very surprised to see us at their door, and they were excited to talk everything about the project. So
Yeah, well,
So
good.
just real quick, in phase 2, that hill, because it's like a mountain. And
Yes.
I know there's been other areas that we've taken down for site, and then I'm like, did we even do anything? So, I mean, will it be noticeable?
very much so.
Do you know how many feet it's going to come down?
So it's coming down several feet, and what's happening is it's
Several,
not
like,
only
more than.
it's roughly around 6, I believe. And what it's not only just going down, it's going to be elongated. So the sight distance is going to open up tremendously. While it won't come down as many, 10, 15 feet like you would want it to come down to meet
Yes,
the
it would.
existing.
Yeah.
It's going to be coming down and going out. There's a lot of dirt coming off that project. I believe it was somewhere, I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but it is a lot of dirt work that's going to be actually exported off the project. So it's coming down a lot, and it'll be significant. We're actually going to be reprofiling the driveway, the northernmost driveway that kind of has the dog bone shape into it. That'll be reprofiled and lowered to where they'll have a better transition into the roadway from that residence.
And I know that the church, the pastor was very thankful that we were able to get his entrances and exits opened by Easter. So thank you guys for getting that taken care of. He was very thankful. So.
Tim, do me a favor and send Kenny an email. Tell me how far we're going to cut that down so I can pass it on to council.
I absolutely will.
Because they won't feel comfortable until they see it.
We'll be able to sleep at night until you tell us.
Are you going to take the dirt and put it at 91st and Garnett to add to the big mound that's there?
Coincidentally enough, the dirt is actually going to go to a adjacent property there. So there's a property owner has committed to that. So it's actually going to stay right there on the southwest corner.
Yeah.
Keeping the dirt local.
That's
good.
it.
That's good. Awesome.
Tim, you do a great job.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you,
Thanks,
sir.
Ray.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right. Item 8 is citizens' opportunity to address the council. We have one signed up. Linda Montgomery. It's time. I'll just remind you that since it's not an item that's on the agenda, we can't take action on it.
3 minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
Pardon my eye, I have allergies really bad.
Welcome to
I
Oklahoma.
don't usually
Yes,
look this bad. So we received we would have been here last week, or the last meeting, but we didn't have time to read the study, the East Kenosha study. And a lot of the homeowners had questions. And so I had to put everything together. And so we back up to the, there's a bike and walk path that's going to be put right up against our fence. And then 10 feet, there's a creek. And so I'm just going to read this to you real quick and go through it. The city of Broken Arrow has performed a development study of the East Kenosha corridor. The planned area in question is the public bike walk path that extends from Albany to 81st Street and butts up to the homeowners' fences between the creek west of Villas of Bel Lago and Bel Lago properties. The area width between the creek and the homeowner's fence is roughly 10 feet. The plan area would pose a security and safety risk to the homeowners and their families. I think we've all discussed it on 47th Street and 48th Street. In the surrounding area on our streets. And we don't mind a private bike path in our neighborhood. We welcome that. But bringing in strangers, and a lot of them could be homeless too. That happened in Sapulpa when they built a bike path around a new community by Pole Creek. And so the police are going over there and getting vagrants and homeless people. The homeowners who reside along the greenbelt next to the creek, they paid $3,000 additional, I did too, $3,000 additional costs for their lots when purchased from Glenwood Homes, formerly Home Creations, because they were promised that no construction or use of the greenbelt would ever be used. When the Tulsa Army of Corps engineers were asked about mowing behind that fence line in 2020, the homeowners were told that nobody can mow a blade of grass in that area around the creek, explaining that it would be in violation of their preservation ordinances. According to the owner of Glenwood Homes, Vlad Connie, the property behind, this is his quote, the property behind the fence belongs to the homeowners and they are responsible for the maintenance in between their fence and the creek, June of 2021. According to the homeowners' fire contracts with Vlad Connie of Glenwood Homes and the Tulsa Army Corps of Engineers, the bike walk path that the city of Broken Arrow proposes to build, butted up between the fences, is restricted for any type of use or construction, according to them. If for some reason the city of Broken Arrow overrides these restrictions, the city has requested, and we're requesting this, and I have a list, and I'm not going to read them all, but it's security reasons, and I know my time's up. Can I mention the last part?
Yes.
The homeowners of Villa Bel Lago and surrounding community request the city of Broken Arrow's consideration to the property contracts and the rights of the homeowners, their security and safety, cleanliness of the community, and the relocation of the planned bike walk path site to be moved to the other side of the creek, which is empty right now. There's nothing built on there, which is vacant. Should you need any further information, please feel to contact me, and I appreciate your time.
Okay.
I'm sorry, just threw all of that in.
Yeah,
But I
no.
have copies for you. So
Okay,
anyway.
that'd be great. And that
Yeah.
way we can take a look at it and.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, 5 counselors.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
We don't need to complain. We just came up.
No, that's
I love what you're doing.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
bringing your concerns towards us. So we've got your contact information so we can take a look at this and we can give you updates. Thank you, ma'am. All right, item 9 is general council business. 9A, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of and authorization to execute and publish a notice of availability of annual audit for fiscal year 21-22. Cindy Arnold.
Good evening. The Oklahoma State statute requires the publication of the audit. This is just notice that we will advertise in the paper saying it's available to the public. And on May 16th, LaDonna Singh is one of the partners of Aldrich and Associates who will be here to do a full presentation.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Roll call. Approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
And item 9B, consideration, discussion, and possible approval and appointment of Amber Hamilton to the Broken Arrow Drainage Advisory Committee with a term expiring October 1st. Kenny Schwab.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, Mr. Spurgeon. As we discussed at the last meeting, this item before you is actually a potential approval and appointment for a vacant seat on the Drainage Advisory Committee. So when citizen Joe Franco became Councilor Joe Franco, that opened a seat on the Drainage Advisory Committee. By the nature of the committee, this is actually Councilor Franco's nomination. So he asked me to take a look through some of our applicants and did we have any recommendation? I actually met Miss Hamilton probably a couple months ago. She was working with the Washington Lane HOA. I actually worked extremely well with the city, found her to do her research. She asked very good questions, followed up with them, found her to be very easy to work with. So with that, we actually staff made the recommendation to Council Franco to nominate Ms. Hamilton. Councilor.
Yeah, and I spoke to Amber this week, and she's here. Thank you for coming. Thank you for volunteering to do this. She was overly excited. But as Mr. Schwab said, her due diligence is really top notch. So I think it'll be a great addition to the Drainage Advisory Committee.
Thank you.
She's excited about the drainage.
Yeah, right.
That's dedication.
I just need something.
I have a weird thing about drainage in our city lately. I don't know what it is. So it actually is very interesting,
But not exciting.
not really exciting, but yeah.
There's a lot. I learned a lot just by listening and how we do stuff. And it really is a neat committee to be on.
Cool.
I'll make the motion to accept Amber Hamilton to serve on our drainage committee.
I'll second.
We have a
Nope.
motion.
John.
And 2 seconds. Roll call.
Just try. Is that what
You
it
gotta
is?
be real fast.
You gotta have your finger ready.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amber.
Item 9C, consideration, discussion, and possible action in regarding to branding and logo design for the City of Broken Arrow's public transit program. Jill.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, and Mr. Spurgeon. This item before you, I'll give you a little bit of background just to bring us up to where we are today, where we started. In December of 2021, the City of Broken Arrow hired Kimberly Horn to assist in developing a Broken Arrow public transit study, which was adopted by City Council on August 16th, 2022. And the study it was based upon a foundation of public engagement, and it laid out the vision for public transportation in Broken Arrow with recommendations. And from that, one of the recommendations was to proceed with a microtransit pilot program. And currently, the city's continuing to work with INCOG. The city was awarded a grant, and we're working on an agreement that's going back to INCOG, slated for the meeting next week, and then should be back in front of City Council on the next meeting as well. So we're moving forward with a grant that was awarded for electric vehicles in Broken Arrow. And as a next step in this, just to progress the project, we're bringing forward 4 logos. One is revealed already on the screen there for your consideration tonight. And so these were reviewed by the city manager's office, and we have 4 options. And staff has a recommendation, but this is by council's direction and your wish as well. I know when you look at logos and you see different ideas, there's maybe certain elements that you like from each one. And
we'd be happy to entertain any thoughts that you have on that. So option one, or option A, if we could go back to the first one.
Option A is my favorite, by the way.
Is it? Very good.
It is.
This is a
Just 'cause
classic
it's kind of
design.
Incorporates our logo.
Yeah.
Even though I don't like our logo. That's fine. It doesn't have a broken arrow in it. It just really bothers me, but it's okay.
It's a nice nod to our logo, but modernizing it. And it's still traditional, and it just is design. I want to give a huge shout out to the communications team. By the way, they did a fantastic job on the design with Aaron McCulloch and Aubrey. They presented these options. We have options A and B that are pretty similar, and then C and D are also similar in nature. And so this has our colors, has the all capital letters. And then if you go with option B, you see that it's similar in design, but it incorporates the arrows in each direction just to give more of a nod to our logo.
I'd almost say like a new way to get around BA would be pushed inside on both A and B, where it kind of is smaller under the
Yes,
transit.
where it fits under
Like where it's like
words.
Yeah.
Okay,
confined piece.
we could definitely do that. And then
I do
option.
like this one because
oh,
it
go ahead.
has what seems to be broken arrows, but
This one was
Yes.
my favorite. Option B was my favorite. Okay, and then option C is a more modern design with where an acronym could be used easily as well. And the curved
And can
lines.
we have to have Batmobile. I mean, we have to.
Grant's gonna love that.
And our city manager. But I do like, I mean, I like the first one, but I like the bat thing.
Yeah, it's easy to remember for recall for
I mean,
sure. Just say the bat.
Can we use the first and like put the bat in there?
We could probably find a way. Or at least get an emblem that lights up at night with
Yes,
logo on it.
absolutely.
Oh, I love
We
that.
can have like a broken arrow light up in the
Yes.
sky.
When we need
When the
Not our logo, it's an actual broken arrow.
So the curved lines are intended to show the free-flowing nature of the micro transit program that will be launched. And so it just kind of gives you a different feel for what, a different brand for what it could look like. And then option D is very similar, but it has the arrow option on the D. So I hear A and B. Any other thoughts about C and D?
I like A and B. I just don't like the bat. I mean, I like Batman, but I don't like the bat.
But it's Batmobile. I mean, and it's
Yeah.
transit.
I know.
But I
You
get
get
it.
it, right?
I do. I
Okay.
get it. I don't like it. No, I
I
get
don't
it.
like it.
I think they did a great job on all
Yeah.
four of them actually, and we didn't have to pay.
Yeah.
I mean, we're already paying them to do this, so this is even better. So
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
they're all four really
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
I think B would be my favorite.
I
Just
do
maybe the
like the broken
arrows.
arrow better than the sand broken arrow though, but I agree with the mayor. But we fought this battle for a long time. We're only 2 votes down.
Listen, you were on the council when they changed it. I'm just
Oh, I
saying.
wasn't.
You weren't?
No.
Oh, that was when
They
you were
changed-
off. Okay, sorry. I
Well, we
just-
can change it
I can
back.
tell you who changed it.
I'll change it.
It's
I'm all for changing it, but that's not on our agenda.
Yeah. Do we
Okay,
have
so if
option
let's
B?
look back at A
A
and
and
B real
B.
quick. So are we in agreement that A and B over?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. B
Same
still
with
my
that when I
favorite.
put a new way to get around underneath transit and make
Yeah.
it fit.
Like squared up. More
a little.
compact.
Yeah.
We can do that.
You got what you need, Jill?
And I like either one of these.
Yeah, I
one?
like either one
Yeah.
also.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to accept option B as our logo. Very good.
Oh, we have to like decide.
Wow, that's why she's here. But she's busy. We got stuff to do. It's like,
Well, if we're picking a favorite, I mean, I would rather see it like what it's actually going to look at before I vote. Because I want to see it with it like next to it, like not like the words down there.
Oh, like with the bottom,
Yeah.
squared up or whatever.
Could we do the arrows where that goes around and have it be arrows? Like option A, but with arrows,
Wait,
That kind of is
How
option A
about
with
breaking the
arrows.
arrow?
except it goes all the way around.
can we look at A?
Yeah.
please?
Let me see A.
I feel like I'm getting my eyes
It's like a
checked.
C.
You like where it goes underneath
A
actually
or
are.
B?
Yeah, I'd go with it.
A
I
or
like
B?
how
Two,
it
one
curves
or two.
around.
And the lines
you
don't
put
seem to
the
be as
arrow
bold
out
on
there.
this
Put
one.
the
Yeah.
arrow maybe on there.
It's like an eye doctor appointment.
I know.
But it does need, the words need to be, if we're getting
Yeah.
at
Okay.
least closer.
We can bring that in and make it more compact and see if there's an option. We'll bring you a couple of, if it works for you at the next meeting, bring a couple of designs back that are slightly tweaked off of A and B to give you a couple of more specific options. So you can choose
Or
your
if you could
favorite.
send them to us, even like just separately beforehand, and we could maybe give you our input to where we could get maybe a final for our.
When they're ready, we'll have crickets in the mountain.
Very good. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, though.
Yeah,
Looks real, all of
I like it.
Nice job, Jill.
All right. Item 9D, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of and authorization to execute contract with Points Consulting LLC to perform a housing and demographic study for the city of Broken Arrow.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, City Manager. So this is the long-awaited housing and demographic study. The comprehensive plan suggested to several tasks and goals that you have to follow through, and this is one of them. Back in November, the council authorized to proceed with this study. We put out an RFQ and got several proposals from consulting firms that specialize in this type of work. Our local internal team selected, after reviewing all the proposals, Points Consulting, which is a company out of Moscow, Idaho. And they also have a connection with Johnson Consulting Team out of Oklahoma City that is proposed to do the study. The study will take approximately 8 to 9 months. Attached is the contract and the scope of services. When we were working with them on the scope of services, we have added quite a bit to the intent of this study for several reasons. Primary reason is that the demographic data that the Census Bureau, INCOG, and other agencies put out is by either zip code or by other census code and census tracts. Our city is such a grid-oriented city, so we know most of the data by square miles. Our arterial road system pretty much identifies that. That is also the principle for our ward boundary system. So when we were working on this scope of services, we kind of added on to get the data to that detail level by square mile. We have quite a bit of this data in-house and through the county and other state agencies. This contract will allow us to bring it up to date because ACS and the Census Bureau has recently released data that has shown tremendous growth in Broken Arrow in the last 3 years, particularly quite a big changes in our demographics. So tonight we are here to request that we approve this contract, which is originally, and in this budget year, $75,000. If necessary, as we proceed and towards the end of this 8 to 9 month period, if we do the additional work that we hope we can do, will be additional $20,000. But right now, what is before us and what we're recommending is the original scope of services as listed in Exhibit A of the contract. And I'll be glad to answer any questions.
So once we they do all the work, what will it be used for?
It will give the city council, the city management team, a lot of data towards how our population is changing, as well as the trends in housing. Broken Arrow has crossed more than 40,000 housing units, and we have more than 41 to 42,000 households. And it's a fairly large community compared to this study when we did it last time. And the demographics is changing. Just giving you an example, and I was a little bit surprised by this, and I'm not 100%. I need to do research. Our median age since the start of the pandemic has gone up by almost 2, which is a substantial change. It has never increased that much in such a short time, which means we have more older people living here than before. These are the data points and matrix points that you will get that will allow you to decide in the future what type of projects, what type of housing, the demographics of housing and so forth. The housing demographic information that we have for the last 40, 50 years shows that the average house size increased dramatically up until the year 2016 or 17. And that curve is flattening. These are data points that will allow you to decide the future pathway of development and what the next generation of home buyers will be looking for. We are talking to and have seen a lot of other cities do this type of study, and nationally housing has reached a pretty critical point in the last few years where affordable housing has become an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Availability of lots in some suburban style developments has become an issue. Rental properties have become an issue. This is to collect all this data for housing and demographics and present it to you in a logical, concise way that can be used in a comprehensive way by the city and perhaps by our other agencies in a detailed way like they want to. The reason I talk about the additional study is also we're talking to the consultants about travel patterns. From one point, we had more than 90% of people working outside our city limits. That figure has dropped quite a bit below and has continued to shrink. These are demographic trends that this study will give us data to look at. That helps us decide housing trends, growth, type of housing, densities of housing, and density of traffic, where people are traveling and where they're living.
Yeah, you've got traffic issues. I mean, not issues. We have traffic issues because we're growing. You have opportunities to look at traffic patterns, water, wastewater, your favorite thing, stormwater. There's just all kinds of different aspects about how this could affect our infrastructure. We're going to start the planning process next year for our next round of general bond obligations. So having this information, we can look at that and determine if there's capacity to try to address. We always get criticized because, you didn't build the road wider, but for the homes were built. Well, it's because it really comes down to bonding capacity. And the council saying in the last 20, 30 years, we're not going to increase taxes. We're going to keep the tax rate the same. So having this study will allow us to do more of a comprehensive approach to look at. Yes, we know automatically there's roads that need to be widened, or the roads in Wagner County and remaining parts of the community where there's going to be growth. Where growth is, we know that it's coming because it's been approved. And this will be able to help us make those decisions. And then when we present you the package, you'll be able to look at this and go, we've incorporated what some of the recommendations from the study, just like we're going to be making recommendations to you that you incorporate regarding long-term for water, sewer, and so forth.
Well, clearly you can tell by our senior activity center, how much they're growing in membership, that our population's getting older, and we are one of the best places to retire, I will say. I see some pickleball courts, maybe more in our future.
Yes.
More pickleball courts.
Yes. And others probably ask for this too, but it is something that I feel like is really important because I think it lets us make, as counselors, more educated decisions on when we vote on something, we have an actual education behind our vote, which is super important to me. And I know it is to other counselors too.
I would believe the school district would be very interested in this as well, when they start looking at their next bond package, the Economic Development Corporation, you're right, the chamber, all those entities, I think that Farhad was referring to, that can use this, just like they're going to be able to use the Streets for All, basically recommendations, and just this looking at not only basically working for today, but basically making sure we're planning for the future of where we want Broken Arrow to go. So.
I'll make a motion to approve. Nobody else has a question?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call. All right. Item 9E, consideration, discussion, and possible appointment of the advisory panel members of the Housing and Demographic Study.
This is the corresponding item. So with this study, we're proposing approximately 11-person panel to help us guide through the study. We would recommend in this particular item to accept the panel and its formation as it's listed. couple of corrections in there or adjustments. The first one is the council has to appoint a person or council person if they want, or anyone they want on this panel. And also the number 10th was, we left the name out, but it's Davis Robson who will be representing the residential development community. We have case properties involved in discussion about alternative housing. We have schools, Chamber of Commerce, are all aspects of our city involved on this panel. But on this item, I'd like to recommend you all appoint a council person in your motion.
Well, Vice Mayor, would you be interested in doing it since you have a passion for the housing study?
Yeah, I would be interested, but is anybody else interested in doing it? Because I don't want to, do we know when the meetings are going to be?
We're going to start in June, and most likely it'll be in the evenings. We haven't decided a particular date, but.
Not Tuesday evenings in June.
No,
Concerts.
yes. Well, we haven't really.
Or Mondays.
We're meeting with the
Or
consultants for the
Wednesdays or
first time. We'll kind of serve everybody.
Okay. Yeah, if I have to miss Tuesdays in the park, I'm out.
No, we're out.
So, yeah, I would accept that nomination.
I'll make a motion to Vice Mayor Gillespie be our counselor.
Thank you. Okay, we got a second also. Roll call. Okay, there we go. Item 10 is preview ordinances. 10A, consideration, discussion, and possible preview of ordinance 3785, amending the Broken Arrow Code of Ordinances. Charles, folks.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Mr. Spurgeon, who disappeared. Charles Vokes, Utilities Director. Currently, the Utilities Department installs about 600 taps for new construction each year. The preview ordinance before you will now allow city-approved water tap contractors to install new water taps and meters for new home construction. Most other cities allow contractors to provide these services. This proposal will benefit both the residential contractors who will be able to better schedule their installations and the city, which we will gain additional time and resources for other utility tasks. So I'll be happy to answer any questions related to this item.
Any questions? Okay, we have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Roll call. Item 10B is consideration, discussion, and possible preview of ordinance 3786. Charles?
This preview ordinance provides the process for the city-approved water tap contractors to pay the fees for the meter box, the meter, and other materials that will be provided by the city for the installation of the new taps.
Okay. Any discussion?
Make a motion to approve it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
11A is ordinances. Consideration, discussion, and possible adoption of ordinance number 3784, an ordinance of the City of Broken Arrow Municipal Corporation of the City of our State of Oklahoma, creating the PSO 1% franchise fee. Cindy Arnold.
Good evening. On February 14th, voters approved the additional 1% PSO franchise fees. This is just creating the fund. So when we receive the checks, we have a designated place, and it would take approval by council in order to spend the funds.
Any discussion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call. Motion passes. 11B, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of emergency clause.
We should be getting our first check in a few days.
Emergency clause.
Second.
Be interested to see what that is. We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
This is very exciting.
Yes.
Actually, I spoke with Jennifer Rush, and she and Jennifer Conway are working on the draft that they're going to submit to me, but Jennifer Conway needs to get the EDC to review it and approve it, and hopefully that'll be done later this month, early next month. And then after, because obviously they're the organization that we rely upon heavily for a majority of the areas where this probably could be utilized in terms of incentives. And so probably in June, council will look at it and then adopt it, and then we'll have a path forward to how it can be used. And it was really kind of fun with the budget this year, because Cindy asked me how much money to put in each one of those categories. Trying to anticipate.
It's in
some-
the book, but it was just approved tonight.
We haven't gotten there.
Yeah. I know, but it's already in the book.
So thank you, Broken Arrow voters, and thank you for council for putting that on there, because I do think that it's going to be a great tool for us. And I did actually put some funding in there for the consulting services that need to be looking at New Orleans Square for the relocation of some of the utility lines, to kind of start to get an idea so we can develop that partnership with PSO in terms of making that happen. So,
Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Remarks by governing body members. I will, where are my notes? Well, someone go ahead.
I'll just go ahead and I'd like everyone to come out to Camp Bandage this Saturday from noon until 4, and it's at the Events Park. And then maybe a year from now, we'll have a touch a truck.
Yes.
We'll see. We'll work on that.
Yeah. This Thursday is National Day of Prayer. It's always the first Thursday in May. And we have in the years past done a 9 a.m. Event in the farmers market pavilion. And this year we've changed it to 7 p.m. So we invite the community out to join us. Hoping to get more people that are not working, obviously. And then also at Victory that day, there's an 11 a.m. And I have the honor to read the governor's proclamation at that event. So that'll be pretty amazing to do that. So everyone is invited. And then our Fiesta de Mayo, which is not Cinco de Mayo, by the way, will be on May 13th, 2 to 10 p.m. in the Rose District. So.
And I want to get back to the Constitution, because I'd gotten off of reading my pieces of the Constitution. So the 24th Amendment, the right of the citizens of the United States to vote in any primary or other election for president or vice president, for electors, for president or vice president, or senator or representative in Congress, shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state by reason of failure to pay any poll tax or other tax. So you can still vote even if you don't pay your taxes. And which I never really thought about that, but that's a good thing. And just a reminder, there are no left turns at New Orleans Square for about 3 weeks. And if you want to go visit Chris Chambers, police officer, Officer Chambers' Facebook page, he has a hilarious post on there, which I won't read it because you'll see if you go read it. It's hilarious, but I won't. And just talking about excuses that people have given him today for why they turned left.
Yes.
And
he probably has it on private, and no one's going to be able to see unless they're friends with him.
I really want to read it. I really want to read it, but I don't know. Then we had a groundbreaking yesterday at Elam Park, which is super exciting. And then next Tuesday, we have this little groundbreaking of Research. Yes. Nobody's been looking forward to that at all. So pretty fun.
Awesome. All right. Anyone else? No? City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of Council, good evening, everyone. Just a couple of things. I want to piggyback on two things that the Vice Mayor said. The Elam Park is just phase one, and that the council has accepted the master plan that the advisory committee submitted to you, and that as a part of the citizen survey that I'm going to ask council to authorize be done, probably start in the fall, and I'll ask a couple of council members to serve on that committee, is that some of the questions, it's really going to be based on two parts: direction of the city and potential projects that the administration can put together to present to the council. And one of those is a part of this master plan is the possibility of having a traditional community center and possibly a partnership with the school district with regard to an auditorium. As you know, you awarded a contract recently for us to partner with the school district to actually look at the feasibility of implementing that partnership. And so I think it's very important that we start talking about this, because that part of our community has seen some major growth, and there's more growth that's going to be happening. So looking at putting a facility in that part of our community, I think is certainly necessary in this next bond package. So I'm very excited for that to happen, and hopefully we'll be doing a ribbon cutting ceremony next summer of 2024 for phase 1. So, and as far as research, that's 10 a.m. The public is invited to come out. It's at 10 a.m. It's being done, and coordinating with the research team. They're actually helping put all that together, and the public is certainly welcome to come. The infrastructure, the stormwater work is nearly complete, and so it's exciting to have that. And 2 other items. I've spoken to several council members about panhandling and been presented with some questions and some possible updates to our ordinance or some opportunities with regard to panhandling and how we could improve the safety and also address some of the concerns that we hear from our constituents. I've given those questions to legal to look at to see how we could go about that. As soon as I have some information back from Trevor and Danny, I'll let the council know exactly where we're at. And then finally, I just wanted to acknowledge that the council received their budget for FY 2024, and I'm excited. It is rather heavy, so you will be get a workout carrying it. Great job to the finance team and all the directors putting it together, but looking forward to reviewing the proposed spending plan for next fiscal year.
We have a little light reading.
It did not fit in my backpack, by the way.
And it fit on my
So big.
desk.
Yeah, you encroached on my area. All right, we have no executive session. Entertain a motion. Move to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call. Call the Broken Arrow Municipal Authority meeting to order. Roll call.
Franco.
Here.
Ford.
Here.
Parks.
Here.
Gillespie.
Here.
Wimpy.
Here. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda? Move to approve the consent.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call. And we have no public hearings, appeals, presentations, no general authority business. Any remarks from body members? City manager?
I do, Madam Chair. I want to just make an announcement, something I'm very excited. Back in 2020, we had the opportunity to hire a very qualified individual to manage the Verdigris water plant, and her name is Luann Fisher. I think you all have met Luann. I'm proud to announce that she recently completed her Master's of Science in Management. And Luann, that's basically a $60 to $70 million plant. She has about 15 employees, and she has done an excellent job. And I just want to publicly congratulate her for completing her master's degree. I've been very impressed with the job that she's been doing and her commitment to, providing the best service to our community. And always has a smile on her face. And I just wanted to publicly thank her and wish her the very best of luck as she continues to do a great job for us. Just recognize her accomplishment.
That's awesome.
That is good.
Very good.
All right, we have no executive session.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
The motion and a second. Roll call. Call the Broken Arrow Economic Development Authority to order. Roll call.
Franco.
Here.
Ford.
Here.
Parks.
Here.
Gillespie.
Here.
Wimpy.
Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda? Move to approve the consent.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call. Consent is approved. Item 5 is presentations. 5A, presentation of an economic development update of the Innovation District Development. Jennifer Rush, Ted. No, Ted. Just Jennifer.
Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, and trustees and City Manager. I'm really excited to be able to present Ted with the update. Ted has, I've gotten to learn a lot from him over the last couple of years. He's been invested in this project for quite some time, and so he has a lot of the history that I think he's going to share, as well as where we're at with the future, and I think you guys are going to be really excited about where we're at. And I will also add, he is the chair of the Innovation District Committee.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So Jennifer, apparently I'm the old guy on the committee, right? So I probably raised, so Farhad's demographic study, I probably was raised from the average age. So a public congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. Spurgeon.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I'm here before you today to give you a quick update. So first of all, though, I would like to thank Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, City Manager for your leadership and persistence with this project, as well as previous councils and leadership. We're in our 6th year, I believe. So this project is something that I think that's really going to transform Broken Arrow, and really it's focused on workforce. I get that question quite a bit and go into that here in just a second. But thank you for your leadership. This project was also very important to the citizens of Broken Arrow. Just a few years ago, a bond issue was passed where funding to support the infrastructure for the Innovation District, the citizens saw that need and passed that bond. So our citizens are aware too. This is something that's really going to, I think, give our children and grandchildren more opportunities to stay and work in Broken Arrow and not have to move away. So I think it's really important. I get the question a lot, Innovation District. What is that? Is that an industrial park? First answer is no, that is not an industrial park. I'll give you my definition of it. I consider this as a workforce development. We're creating the environment to bring Broken Arrow's K through 12, Tulsa Tech, higher education together with private business. So we're creating internships, research, collaboration for our students, and supporting our industries with a constant flow of workforce. This gives our students, as I said, children and grandchildren, a place to work and stay here in Broken Arrow. So a little bit of background, like I said, this has been going on for about 6 years now, and we have exciting news tonight. So the EDC and the city of Broken Arrow really took a similar method to the creation of the Rose District. If you'll remember back when we started that process, there was leadership from throughout our community, city councilors, other leaders in the community, schools, that went to other locations, other cities that had already done similar things. So we took the same initiative within the Innovation District to say, let's go look at best practices in other cities. So one, we can learn from them, and two, we can find out what worked really well, and better than that, find out what didn't work so we can better educate ourselves to move our project forward. So some of the trips that we have taken to Overland Park, Greenville, Carmel, Dallas, and Houston. I know that several of the counselors went on the Dallas and Houston trips to learn about their innovation areas. So 2017-18, the city council helped with HALF and HRNA, which was a consulting engagement that really kicked off the Innovation District. Back then, we were still trying to understand what are the components that have to be in there to be successful. How do you connect schools and education and internships with private industry? What does all that look like, and what assets do we have? So HRNA at the time helped us with really two things. They helped us with identifying land and the proximity of other assets around pieces of land that really meet the needs of what makes an innovation district successful. So they helped with that. And then they also, more importantly, helped with a market analysis, which included looking at our industry clusters, what businesses we had here, what we could really build off. We're one of the largest manufacturing cities in Oklahoma. How do we take the suppliers and other pieces of those industries already here and help them build on that? So they helped us get all that market information and cluster analysis, and they gave us that report in 2020. So next, we received a grant from the Department of Commerce from Site Selection Group. So this is a firm that looked at Broken Arrow and then compared it to other cities. The specific cities they compared us to was Oklahoma City, Waco, Austin, Dallas, and Houston, and compared our piece of property to other pieces in those locations to say, what is the cost of doing business, what is the cost of land development, talent attraction, and then how do you stack up against it? So this is really a marketing tool that we can take out to our companies to say, here's how we stack up and here's why you need to be in Broken Arrow. So using both of these studies really brings us up to today where, as you well know, we've purchased the 90 acres. As I said, we've done these studies in the past to know how we're going to market, who we're going to market to, what are our best assets, and how do we build on those in Broken Arrow. So tonight, we've also done one other thing. Let me mention that we've applied for a $5 million grant through the Department of Commerce that will also assist in infrastructure and site readiness. So hopefully between what the bond was passed and if we get the application approved through the Department of Commerce for additional $5 million will take us a long way to completing this. So which brings us to today. The EDC and the Innovation District Committee put out an RFP recently to master plan now the 90 acres that we own. So you're asking, okay, we've done other analysis. What is the difference here? The difference here is this is a master plan for the 90 acres. So it's taking all of the information that we've gathered along with other expertise that our architecture firm that we've engaged to look at streets, zoning, planning, access, utilities, where offices should be located, mixed use, common areas, traffic flows, connectivity, walkability, and much more. And probably the most important thing, a large piece of this is creating a analysis to show us what are the absorption rates, meaning how much retail can go in this area, how much will our city support in that area, how much housing, how much, so that we know as we're going out and marketing and attracting, we know what to go after, and we know how much will work. So instead of me talking more about what they do, I'm going to let them speak more on that scope. But exciting news for us, and appreciate your leadership.
Thank you. All right. It's Mr. Beck, who's speaking?
The next item.
Oh, that's it.
I gave you the background.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, sorry, we were all ready.
We're like,
It's like, yeah, okay. All right. All right, item 6A, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of an authorization to execute first amendment contract for economic development services between the Broken Arrow Economic Development Authority and the Broken Arrow Economic Development Corporation. Jennifer Rushigan.
Good evening. Sorry for confusing you. We have two separate items. This item is involving the first amended contract for the Innovation District Design Services. So just to give you a little bit of background, and then we'll have Beck come up and describe what Mr. Cundiff was talking about. So the original contract with the EDC was approved on June 7th, 2021. We updated it on July 19th, 2022. We updated the annual reporting presentation dates in order to get a whole annual year with those presentations. So item G of the contract, item G of section 4 of that states that the BA EDC will drive in development phase of Broken Arrow's Innovation District through the entire process of land purchase plan program development. As Ted mentioned, on February 14th, the EDC released a request for proposals for the Innovation District land use and design as stated in their current contract. The Innovation District Committee reviewed the proposals, conducted interviews on March 20th, 2023. Of the submissions received, the committee selected Beck Design to conduct Innovation District land use and design. The Broken Arrow Economic Development Corporation also approved the selection of Beck Design on April 4th, 2023. And so this request is we also have the presentation piece so you can see what it's for as well, as Ted mentioned, but this is to add the Innovation District Design Services into the scope of the contract. These services, not to exceed $302,000, will be paid out of beta. They are eligible to be reimbursed by the TIF with TIF funding for that. So with that, I'd like to ask that Beck come up and Ted, if you want to introduce them, or Jennifer.
Nope, Beck's coming up.
Just moving. And they can show you some of the presentations that we all saw and why they were selected within that process and what the product of that work will entail.
Thank you. I'm Don Beck. I'm with Beck Design. We were really thrilled to find out that we were selected for the project. So it's exciting. That's what we do. It's a great piece of property. I wish I owned it. I don't, but we're pretty thrilled about your opportunity. Our firm is 42 years old. You'll see some of our work. We're going to show some examples of what we've done, and then some other examples of what our combined team has done in other similar projects in innovation districts. It's nice to be back. Our firm, Beck, has designed several projects in Broken Arrow. One of my most memorable and favorite is the Broken Arrow Performing Arts Center. So I got to design that several years ago, and still excited about the project. We assembled a team for design for the Innovation District. Two of the team members are here. Anthony is our project manager, and Carl White, who lives in Broken Arrow, is interior design, graphic, and business development, and they're all part of the design team. When we selected and put the team together, we added to the team one of our partners, a group called SWA. It's Michael Robinson from that group out of their Houston office. We've been working off and on with them for over 30 years. They're a strong urban planning group. And so he's up from Houston and working with us. And then there's another group, Hunden, who's out of Chicago. They're not with us today. They'll start their work in a few weeks. But Hunden, their firm, they're strategic and financial analysis and evaluation and planners. And what's really, really important, I think, about what they bring to the table is that, echoing on what Ted mentioned, they'll look at right sizing the project. Is there residential? If so, what size, what type, how many units? What about office? And how many new people, how many new jobs are going to come to the Innovation District? And what do those jobs look like as far as pay, and what can we expect in tax revenue off of that? So that when we're looking at making a major investment in 90 acres, what's your return on that investment? And when is that payback going to happen? So that's what they do, and they'll look at the entire Innovation District, not just the 90 acres. So that's really important element, because that'll be part of the form giver of what the final design or master plan looks like for the 90 acres. So at this stage, we don't know how much office space, how much retail, how much research space, and that will help us determine what that is, depending upon what can your market absorb and bear, because we don't want to over-design or overbuild or underbuild. So it's a really important part of the study. So as we say, a plan or a project is only as good as the information it's based on. And so we've had great cooperation from everybody here at the city. And we don't normally do this, but we set up a design charrette, which is where when we are working on a project with a short fuse, we bring our design team in and we just camp out for a few days and kind of design the project right here with you, with your people. We don't do this on every project, but when there's a short fuse, that's what we do. So we've been kind of living here for 3 days. Jennifer's been feeding us. And so we've got one more day camped out over at the chamber. But you have a really strong engineering department, bottom up, top down. We've got a lot of great information from them on drainage, storm sewer, means of egress, in and out, how does the fire department get in and out, phasing, slope, drainage. So you have a really strong engineering department, and all that information is really critical as we're looking at infrastructure. Same with the chamber, same with economic development. Or the chief, I don't know exactly Ted's title of the Innovation District, I guess.
Chief.
Director.
We're going to call him Chief.
He's the man. But everybody, all the information we've got has helped us drive and make decisions. So what I'm going to kind of go through sort of quickly here is some of our past experience, and there's a diagram floating out there that we prepared before the interview, and we were nervous about doing that because we had no input from anybody. But we knew that because of 90 acres, the water detention was going to be an important issue. And when you have water on your site, it becomes a very powerful design tool. We're involved in 4 projects in the Innovation District in Oklahoma City. They do not have a water feature. They're not going to have what you have. They have a lot of concrete. We have some nice landscaping, but it's a lot of hardscape. And since you have this opportunity, it's a great way to create a destination and a strong focal point in a people space. So it just really has a lot of potential. So we're going to kind of flip through. We're going to skip all this stuff about design awards. Schedule. Maybe I should talk about schedule. We will have a final master plan concept at the end of July, and we'll be preparing that in conjunction with the report that Hunden does for us. So that's kind of our schedule, but because of the short fuse, that's why we did this design charrette. So we'll end up with about two weeks worth of work in a 3-day session. So it's really nice having everybody here and cooperating. So this is kind of what that can look like. This is kind of like all hands on deck. We talked a little bit about Hunden and what they're going to do financially. I mean, a lot of the decisions will be based financially on what makes sense and what the payout is. So there's a little bit of information there. And anytime anybody has any questions, stop me. But I know we're kind of getting late in the evening, so I'm going to get everybody home. These are just some sketches, working sketches that happen during a vision process and work sessions on different places and people. And this is the actual Innovation District in Oklahoma City where we're doing 4 projects. There's a lot of people spaces, but it's a lot of hardscape, very urban type environment. Some of those interior research labs, these are for OU. There's special grants where we can't take photographs, so we're showing renderings. But there's a lot happening over there. Again, the market analysis is going to be critical. This is a project we're doing for McPherson, Kansas. Basically, they're developing an innovation district on their college campus. And McPherson College up in McPherson, Kansas, is the only automotive restoration program that you can get a degree on in the country. And they have a 100-year floodplain, which is seen in the water feature, similar to what's on your 90 acres. We're developing this in a similar fashion, and they're going to be developing in their innovation district, part of their college campus, a new electronic car manufacturing research plant. So pretty aggressive for a small college up in Kansas. So those are some of the sketches. These are some of the projects we're doing for them, just so you see a little bit of our work, which you can see it up or down the street as well. Student centers, we do a lot of high-end technology-related projects, a lot of research facilities. This is Bricktown, our firm's 41 years old. This was our first project 41 years ago. So I'm getting like some of the others out here. I'm in the older generation. But this is Bricktown.
At age 12.
Yes. Thank you. So we were pretty thrilled about this originally in the concept. There was not a canal envisioned, and the city of Oklahoma City thought we were kind of nutty because to make this work, we had to run water uphill. So I used to work for a plumbing contractor, so we're pumping and just letting it sheet flow. But it's brought $1.3 billion into an economic boom in Oklahoma City. So just some of the work we've done. This is a project we're doing with SWA, our partner out of Houston. It's in Edmond, but it's a memorial, a military memorial in one of their parks. So you can kind of see some of the landscape development we've been involved in. Part of our assignment is to help set some of the guidelines for future development. So as you're looking at potential tenants, what type of tenant and what quality of development? We don't see this development as moving forward in the same fashion as a office warehouse district. A lot of precast tilt up. This is really a people place. And so those design guidelines will help you with the character, the size, the height, the scale, walkability, landscape issues, which we would assist getting those in place for future development so you can maintain the consistency of your development and kind of protect your investment. Moving on, these are some street studies that we've done for others, and the walkability, what is that environment like, the landscape, the walks, the trees, the heights, signage, those kind of things. And we got a lot of direction from engineering department on roadways, your setbacks, right of way. So all that's very helpful. And we're currently calculating, after you take all that out and the detention ponds out, how much buildable acreage do you have left? And what's the best use for that, the highest and best use? And all of this kind of factors into that. Kind of moving on a little bit, I'm going to skip over some of these, and I don't want to put anybody to sleep. We're designing the new Tulsa Performing Arts Center. These are some early renderings from that. So we do a lot of that kind of music related, like down the street. This indicates, this is showing your 90-acre site and a lot of the other connections that would have an impact on the growth and development, and what type of development, what kind of residential, if any, and how much, and retail. So we're looking at a lot larger area than just the 90 acres because there's a lot of influences that will drive and become the final decision makers. Moving on, these are a few projects from our partner in Houston where the water element became a major design feature. And you can see this one's pretty organic. The buildings kind of move around, and what they're able to do in this is kind of create some of these islands and people spaces. So we know we're going to have a water element on your site. We know we have to have water detention. So is there a way to take what some might consider a negative and turn it into a positive to kind of celebrate that and create these people spaces? So these are some of the solutions that have happened. These are some of the design sketches that later we'll be getting into, and all of you will be seeing that along with all the groups we're working with. So it's a work in progress. Along the bottom are some of the massing models. What's the height? What's the scale of the buildings? Maybe there's a technology center that's more closer to the core, and it might be a 3 or 4 story building. But as we move away from that near residential, we'll want to bring that scale down to a more residential scale so that we're a good neighbor. So there's just a lot that goes into the thought process overall for this. You can see in some of these developments how water became such a powerful design tool. Some of these indoor-outdoor areas, little concert spaces, and how the buildings can kind of come right up to the water edge and celebrate that. And this goes to kind of the scale of some of the buildings. More closer into the core, you can go with a little taller height, maybe 3 or 4 story buildings, but the economic report and impact we get will kind of start to drive how much and when and where and how often and how do we phase that? What gets built first and why? Again, you can see on this image, there's a concrete steps that lead down to the water. So some of it is more organic, like you saw earlier, where you have a grass edge, and some is a little bit more rigid and urban. Again, here's that softness of that edge of this is a detention pond as well. So we've had projects where in Oklahoma City, we had one clever developer who took a water feature like that, filled it in, turned it into a Walmart, and it's a 3-acre parking lot. So not near as exciting as doing some of the things that you're looking at doing, but also it gives us opportunity to create these outdoor spaces, the shading like this, to really get people to engage and activate the space in the water elements. Again, just a few more projects that touching on water development on your far right. You can see the main entrance coming in over that water element. This project has several feet of slope to it, as yours does. And you can kind of see here on the left-hand side of that water element, the buildings are pushed really close to the water edge. And then toward the bottom side, you can see they're pulled back. And part of the reasoning for that is we get to create these kind of soft edges here, these people spaces. So really a dynamic design solution. And then this site slopes down, and you can see that here how that water was treated, because we'll have that same issue on your site because of the topography. From where we think the detention pond will be running east, there's a grade change of about 25 to 30 feet. So we want to work that to our advantage. So one of the advantages is, well, where do you put all the parking? And so a lot of times we'll put the parking below the building and stack buildings on top of it. With the slope that you have, it makes it nice to get the parking one level on the backside. It might be below grade, but you can walk out at grade on this side. So it's really open air and really nice way to hide some of the parking, but still preserve a lot of your buildable square footage or acreage for future development. So you're not eating up all your development land in surface parking. So I think there's just a few more with some of the trails that already exist. This is some of the examples. This is actually from a pedestrian trail looking into a people space. So there's cafes, restaurants, and this is another view from the building looking back out at the connectivity with the trails. So you've already established a lot of strong design guidelines, and we just want to embrace those and enhance those, and really make that part of the form giver of your 90 acres. Again, this is in Houston. This park floods, and when the hurricanes rise, this comes up. So it's kind of designed that way. But again, another soft edge in how to control and use water in detention. And of course, down in Houston, everything's dead level flat, and they have a lot of major water issues. So our SWA partner is really a good fit for the project. And again, you can start to determine what kind of scale is involved. And you can see the walkability, the landscape, the walks leading up into the building, so that they're really kind of integrated with the design. And then this is Hewlett-Packard, where it's more dense. So there's just a lot more buildings in a tighter quarters, but you can see some of the rooftop garden areas and views that can be achieved, but still with a lot of high density building, you can still get a lot of nice green areas and landscape. So it's people friendly. And then outdoor areas, we think these are ideal around the water feature. Maybe there's an amphitheater, drop-off zones, but outdoor places like this sprinkled around the project. These are just some other projects our firm's been involved in, so you can kind of see sort of the design work we've done. Some of these are innovation districts. We have a New York office. We actually have an office in Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and New York, and some of these are our New York projects, but home for me is Tulsa. So I didn't grow here. I'm not from Tulsa. I'm not from Broken Arrow, but I kind of wish I was. I'm from Northern Illinois, but the people in the South are friendlier and better cooks too. So these are, I think you can see the upper right-hand project is a Broken Arrow project we did several years ago. Kind of skip through this. It's a kind of collaborative space we did for Rose State in Midwest City. They recently opened up their student center, student common space. So we do a lot of people spaces, a lot of student things like that. And we did a lot of the major development of Chisholm Creek in the Oklahoma City area. These are some of the images from that. The lower right-hand corner is actually Oklahoma State University. We designed the McKnight Center up there for anybody. I don't know if there are any OSU people here, but you look pretty orange.
No.
So these
It's just for council.
Okay. So these are just some of the projects that our team has been involved in. We're very concerned about cost control. I used to work for a construction company, and working for construction, I bid on a lot of projects, so we're pretty sensitive about cost control. We actually do quantity takeoffs, like how many cubic yards of dirt are we going to move? How many yards of concrete are we going to pour? How many lineal feet of 8 or 12-inch sewer line do we have? So we actually do those kind of quantity takeoffs, and then we price all that out. So cost control is kind of a big deal. Mies van der Rohe used to say form follows function. Now we say form follows finance, because it does. So I think that's quick, down and dirty. Any questions for me, or did I miss anything?
No, I'll just say that one of my favorite things was that you guys thought outside the box and were utilizing what you presented to us was a water feature of some sort, where the other people we looked at, no one thought of that, or at least presented it to us. And I thought that was really great that you guys thought outside the box and wanted to utilize that and bring it not just along the side, but into the innovation district. So,
Well, one project I'd mentioned, it wasn't up there, but it was Belle Isle in Oklahoma City. And for the any of you that have been around years ago, Belle Isle had a large lake, and that's the one that we worked with a lot of developers, had a really neat concept going. Barry Switzer was going to do some restaurants there, and then it sold. And the first thing the developer did was just fill in the lake. And so, any problem you have, if you work hard enough, you can turn it into something awesome.
sure. Maybe we can get Barry to open a restaurant in ours.
Yeah. We need to do that.
Boomer.
But your team has been great to work with. Everybody, we just feel so welcome. We like it here. People are friendly. And the knowledge from everybody that we've worked with, Chamber, from Economic Development, from the engineering team, has been really helpful.
Wonderful.
You have a really strong team. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to close out on a couple of important items on this is this is a crucial, in January, the council approved the engineering contract for the Spine Road and for water and sewer. But then Kenny looks at us and says, how many people are going to be on that property? And so you've got to know the load and you got to know how and how are we going to zone this? And so I think we're creating a miracle and we're a feat of we're going to just be able to step back and look how fast we did this, but we're running about 4 things concurrently in this process. And the other 3 major components of moving the innovation district forward are hinging on this master layout and plan. And so in order to move forward with the finalization of the engineering that was approved in January, in order to determine zoning and comprehensive plan changes and overlay district and plating, all of that is based around what the work that we do right now. And so it's really exciting and everybody's at the table. And I know we'll sit back and I think December just be celebrating how far we've come. But I do thank your consideration for assisting with this and through a contract. We really feel like we found the right people to work alongside and I've already proved them, but I'll take any questions regarding the contract.
You may have any questions?
I recommend approval to the authority.
As do I.
Make the motion to accept.
I'll second.
Since you don't have a button to click and vote, I'll do it.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
This is exciting.
That is exciting.
Motion passes. All right. Remarks by governing body members? City manager?
What they said.
Yep. Ditto. There is no executive session. I entertain a final motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
All right.
Adjourn.
All right.
I was at Trader Joe's today.
Yeah, because you weren't here last night.
Now I got
She presented it at
So that's